Now the segment you've all been waiting for, two white guys talking about what women like. David Flaherty from Magellan Strategies, pollster extraordinaire. Glad to have you back.
It's good to be back, John.
All right, so let's talk about what the ladies like and why they keep voting Democrat, because you and I, we should know these things.
Well,
actually, you've been working diligently trying to answer this question, which is what makes those women in that swing district in the center, those not Democrats, they're not Republicans, a lot of single women, what makes them vote one way or the other? And that's kind of the gold standard. Every politician wants to get to that demographic, and everybody thinks they know what that group wants, but they're kind of elusive. Tell me about what the demographic is.
Sure. The real desired demographic, where if you're going to have success as a candidate in Colorado, in most parts of the state, is the unaffiliated woman, registered voter. They don't like either party. In all honesty, we've done research on this for over 3 or 4 years, and if you ask them, do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of the Democrat Party, and 35% will say I have a favorable opinion, and about 45% say I have an unfavorable opinion. You ask the same question about the Republican Party, you get the exact same answer. Hence, they're unaffiliated for a reason. They're not pleased with either party.
And the reason that this demographic is so important is this demographic decides the election.
Yes.
So I'm a registered Republican. With a rare exception, I usually vote for the Republican candidate. People on the left do it for their candidate. And then all of this money, all this fight for the people in the center. But trying to get women in that demographic is tough. They hate both parties equally. Why? Is it the same reason? Well,
actually, when you ask them, what is it that you like or do not like about either party, what they don't like about either party is one, they feel they are selfish. They really feel that they are out for themselves. Two, they feel they have an agenda that they may or may not agree with. And it's not the kind of agenda where they understand you're running for this, governor, for example. I want to know. They like people that have a plan. What are you going to do as governor? Right. They really want to know. Not that kind of agenda. They look at the word agenda or as if it's sort of a scheming agenda. Right. And the third thing, they're tired of nothing getting done. They feel that there's just too much bickering and there's not as much compromise as there should be. So
in other words, they're seeing the situation very accurately. They're seeing both sides have their plans, their schemes, and nothing's getting done.
Correct.
Well, talk to me about the difference that they see between Republicans and Democrats. Do they see any difference, or is it the same?
They do. There's things that they like about both parties, and there's things that they dislike. Let's start with the Democrat Party. First of all, they think the Democrat Party is definitely for the little guy. They feel that they are for the middle class. They don't feel that they're as aligned with business. And they also think that Democrats are more open to new ideas to solving our problems. That's kind of what Democrats have achieved in a lot of over their time, let's say, is presenting themselves to these women.
And again, this is just from your polling data. I want to make sure people understand it. This is that one slice. We're not talking about anybody else on the political spectrum. We're not talking about men. We're talking about independent.
We're only talking about registered, unaffiliated women in Colorado, and it's a very elusive group. Among Republicans, what they like the fiscal conservative talk.
Really?
Yes, they don't like overspending. They like the talk that they want to be fiscally prudent with the taxpayers' money. They definitely like that. What they don't like about Republicans is they feel that they say no too many times to proposals. They feel that they are the party of no. Hence, you're shut down because over the debt limit at the federal level. That does not go over well with them. The other things are that they don't like about them is they just don't feel they're for big business or they're not open to new ideas. At the same time, what they don't like about Democrats, big government. They don't want big government. And you can see that time and time again on referendums that may come up where you have a large tax increase of some kind or some increase in the government. They don't want that either. They feel sometimes that they go too far with their solutions are raising taxes and growing the government. Like they don't view government as being able to help and solve every problem that we have.
I'm seeing a dichotomy here. That they want they want a party that's open to new ideas, but also a party that's fiscally conservative. Being fiscally conservative means saying no, but they don't like the Republicans being the party of no. Is that a contradiction?
Look, they are It's difficult to gain their trust and their vote. And I would say up and above all of these contradictions of what they like and they don't like about either party is likability of the candidate. In fact, we did a very extensive study after the 2014 election, and among these women, 50% supported John Hickenlooper and only about 35% supported Bob Beaupre. Now it's like, well, what's that other 15% missing in there?
Right.
They chose not to answer the question, if you will. Why did they like John Hickenlooper? Doesn't run negative ads. He's a likable guy. And even though they know about some of his leadership gaffes, if you will, on Nathan Dunlap decisions and so forth, and we've done focus groups for these women where they're like, you know, he really chickened out on that decision, I still like the guy and I feel like he's trying to do the best he can. Bob Beaupre never was able really to penetrate through them or become likable. Mark Udall, same thing. Now, Corey against Mark Udall among these women basically split the vote. It was really about, 50-50. And when a Republican statewide, Corey's the first Republican, obviously that's won in a long time at the state level. Why did they like Corey? Why did they vote for Corey? They felt he was optimistic. They felt that he was for all Colorado and that he avoided and did not come across as negative ads. And in all honesty, granted, last year's election cycle was pretty much dominated by the women's issues strategy that the Democrats put out there. Where John Hickenlooper did not go down that road, it's clearly evident that these women, they want somebody that they can like. And
let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
And I've heard this over and over again. I heard the same thing with Obama versus Romney, that when asked in exit polls and the same sort of demographic, who would be better on the economy? Romney by far. Who would get us out of the recession? Romney by far. Who would help unemployment? Romney by far. Who do you think cares about people like you? Obama. And it was, I like him. And I hear that. It's just like, I think for me, tell me if I'm wrong, part of it is that since this is the demographic in the middle, they're not politically in tune because they're running their lives.
Yes.
So they're not junkies like us. They don't follow the ups and downs, and they might not have a political compass the way that other people do who are involved in politics. So that idea of, I like him. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. Is that what it really comes down to?
Yes.
Does it come down to, he's a nice guy, I'll vote for him?
Yeah, a lot of it. They are making their decisions not necessarily on ideological arguments or where they stand on the issue. It's really more about how they feel about them. Are they going to do a good job? Are they positive and forward-looking, and do they have a plan? And the other thing about these women is they truly will evaluate both candidates. We've done a lot of focus groups. Romney, Obama. Did the Obama campaign win you over at the end of the day? And a lot of them will say, not necessarily. I really did look at both candidates very closely. I just couldn't pull the lever for Romney. And because
he wasn't likable?
He was not like them. They couldn't relate to him. He'd kind of, whether it's the Democrat strategy to paint him as an out-of-touch, uber-rich guy that bought and sold businesses without any disregard to their employees, versus Mitt's own, gaffes. 47%, of people aren't going to ever vote for me because they're just living on government dole. One way or the other, the likability factor is very paramount and forefront among these women on how they arrive at who they're going to support. But they are honestly persuadable and open. They will look at both sides.
But that likability factor, you're telling me that's a key thing. And Cory Gardner, and I've known Cory for years, you can't help but like him. He's a likable guy.
Sure.
I tell you, I like him. Sure. And the strategy that Mark Udall used was, I'm going to be gruff and mean, and I'm going to talk about your uterus for the next 6 months.
Yes.
That backfired.
Yes.
And now, at least to the other part, let's talk about uteruses, shall we? I mean, once the name Mark Uterus popped out, game over, because that, two words that put the whole campaign into context.
Correct.
What about the social issues? Here it is, Republicans, I'm imagining from that demographic of unaffiliated women, are probably very pro-choice, probably...
They are. About 60% of them are pro-choice. And
Really?
we've done extensive work in measuring among these women how they view that issue. And about 60% are pro-choice. But we've also looked at a lot of other things among these women where more than 3 out of 4 of them are willing to vote for a candidate that is pro-life. As long...
How many?
75%.
Really?
3 out of 4. They will vote for a pro-life candidate. If the most preferable candidate is one that has never introduced or supported legislation of any kind that will tamper with a law regarding abortion or reproductive rights.
I'm confused. So in other words, this demographic is willing to vote for a pro-life candidate so long as they don't do anything on their pro-life agenda. Would that be the best way to put it?
Yes, yes, it is. And in all honesty, with Cory Gardner's supported personhood amendment so blatantly out there, and it was a fact, honestly, Mark Udall overreached in the sense because he only gave these women one thing to think about on whether or not to support him and not anything else. And it did backfire, in my opinion. But yes, because we definitely looked at a lot of things where it was just like, you know, because it's a strategy that you're going to see time and time again. We'll see it again in 2016. It'll come back every time. This person's not for you. It's not for choice. But we've really learned about these women, even though they are 60% pro-life, it's not because they are pro-abortion. It's because a lot of the women that remember Roe v. Wade don't ever want to go back to not having a choice. We've had focus groups on this. Younger women that don't remember it as much are more or less open. But the bottom line is like they just want the choice to either have or not have an abortion. And anyways, at the end of the day, you know, I'm not saying avoid talking about it whatsoever. Candidates are going to make their own decisions of what they want to let people know about their personal beliefs. Right. But if they really, it's okay to be pro-life, it really is. But just don't go introducing bills that, like perhaps certain personhood amendments.
I only got about a minute here, but are you telling me if we pull it all together, that in order to get that unaffiliated female vote, that elusive vote you absolutely need, you need to be, one, likable, and two, you can be pro-life, but you just can't really do anything about it. Is that the two factors when you boil it down?
Those two things would go a long way with the unaffiliated Colorado likely voter, no doubt about it. So.
Would that speak well to somebody like Ellen Roberts, who's thinking about running for the United States Senate, who probably fits that category quite well? Actually, she's pro-choice.
I would believe any female candidate, in all honesty, coming from the Republican side, that even though they were pro-life or pro-choice, but really just doesn't make that their #1 issue, these women would give a lot of time to and honestly consideration, and I think Ellen Roberts would be.
In 15 seconds, if you had one bit of advice to give to the Republicans running next year, what would it be?
I would say this. There's going to be about 400,000 of these unaffiliated women voting in 2016 that did not vote in 2014. And they lean Democrat. And you better understand what they care about and where they go, because it's going to make a big difference on the day.
David, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Tell a friend, and we'll see you next week.